What's going on, everybody? This is Al from NCAA06 Revival, and today I want to talk about a new dynasty idea I like to call the small budget dynasty. This was an idea from a fellow gamer of ours. Just want to give him credit. So thanks, Isaiah, for this idea because it got me really excited, and I want to share it with you all. How is this going to affect our main dynasty? I'm not really sure yet. I'll talk a little bit more about it at the end of the video, but for now, I just kind of want to present you this new dynasty idea. Okay, there's only 2 rules of this dynasty, but it has a huge impact and it makes a lot of sense. So let's break them down. First is you can only recruit 3 stars or less. And second, you can only recruit locally, your state and the border states. Now you would think, why am I doing this? Is it for the sake of making things hard? But not really. The purpose behind it is all about player development. It really prioritizes how you coach up your team to get the most out of your players. You focus on potential. When you recruit, you scout. It gives you discipline, potential, and all the other stats. But potential makes a lot more. It's a lot more important in this type of dynasty. You also prioritize training. When you got your school budget with recruiting, training, and discipline, you're going to put more points in the training that's going around as opposed to just you got so many recruiting points to play with. Everybody likes to put it in recruiting. I get that. But since you're recruiting locally, this affects both of them. It focuses on your potential because you get to scout more because you'll have more points to play with. And 2, you'll be able to put more points into training. Now, when it comes to recruiting in general, yes, it still will be easier to recruit certain states. You can go back and look at my dynasty map I put on the website. Florida, Texas, California, Georgia, Ohio, a lot of those states are still going to produce really good talent. But if you look at the state of Florida here, when you use those restrictions, again, you're only sticking with 3-star kids or less, and then you're only doing border states. And you hope those will be your pipelines if you try to make them as such. And Florida, there's only 2 border states. You got Alabama and you got Georgia. So yes, there's still going to be a whole lot of talent to work with, but it's still not going to be as easy. Again, this is like a long-term thing. You're thinking about how many 3-star kids are out there consistently, and can you overcome that? Coach examples. This is what really kind of got me into it. First of all, like Paul Johnson, I wanted to bring him up. He's recently retired, but he was the flexbone guru, was there at Georgia Tech for many years, put up a lot of good points, a lot of wins. I thought he done really well there, but he never really went after 4- and 5-star kids. Now, many can say, well, that's because nobody wanted to run the flexbone, but it's neither here nor there. Georgia Tech has never had a history of bringing in big-time talent. Another one, Mike Leach, probably my favorite coach out there. He's been doing this for decades, and he always just does everything with 3-star kids. So he's a good example. And another good example is the mullet himself, Mike Gundy. He's been at Oklahoma State for decades, yet they're always in the top 25, yet you never see him bring in big-time talent. So I like the idea of this type of dynasty compared to what we all do. I don't care if it's with my main dynasty or any other one. Eventually, it all leads down to the same road ending, which is I'm going to have more talent than you because I'm winning more, therefore I'll probably win more. Here, you're limiting yourself. You're always sticking with 3-star kids. You're always trying to find guys who have good potential that you can bring up. It's a lot like what these guys do, and I feel like dynasties like this will be more fun, and there's a lot more longevity to it because it never gets easier in the grand scheme of things because you're still limiting yourself talent-wise per se. So, if I was going to pick a team to do all this, what would I go with? Well, I mean, this works with a lot of different teams. When it comes to a Power 5 school, think of small budget schools that don't put a lot of money into recruiting. Your basketball schools, Duke and Kansas, North Carolina. Then you got something like Arkansas, Kentucky. There's a bunch of them at the Power 5. This also works really well for basically every single group of 5 program out there. Every single one of them has small budgets. I don't care how good they are. The school never really puts the full amount of money into recruiting for them to go after big-time talent. You can also do Division II schools like you can with Maine and so on and so forth. So, if I was going to start this type of dynasty, what would I be doing? Right now, I'm not really sure how to go about doing it. There's 2 ways of doing it. I can either do a system type way of doing things, and that means I'm determined to run, for example, the air raid and the 3-4 defense. That's my offense. That's my defense. I'm going into my first year. I don't care what the roster shows me, if it fits or not. This is what we're going to do. This is our identity. I can also do the players version. This is sort of what I've been doing for years, just adjusting to your talent and just kind of working off of that. But I like the idea of a system. I rarely do that with smaller schools or teams that are just not very good because I just have a knack of just trying to make the most out of my talent. But I like the idea of putting in the flexbone triple offense on a team because that's what our identity is. I want to go to that first year and so on and so forth. One little component I want to add to this is one small slider change. I think it's for the best, and it's QB accuracy. For the CPU, I want to bump it up from 25 to 50. I still have humans still at 25 because you've seen me throw the ball all over the place. You are the awareness for the quarterback. Well, his accuracy, so it's just not that big of a deal. Well, I take that back. That's for awareness. But either way, I think it's realistic what I'm seeing now on the human side of things. But for the computer, I've kind of noticed there's I do pretty well against passing defenses. And I'm hoping bumping this back up to 50 will help. The reason why I had both at 25 was because I thought QB accuracy affected passing completion percentage. If you go into any of your dynasties, look at the stats of all the quarterbacks, a bunch of them are 70 and above in their percentage, which is kind of unrealistic. But I found out that this does not affect, QB actually does not affect that whatsoever. So I thought it was a good idea to move it back up to 50. So this means in the future, you're still going to see maybe some quarterback play on the CPU side do a little bit better job. I don't know if this will help a whole lot, to be honest, because I also thought they've always done a good job recruiting. It's just making good decisions, and there's no QB awareness slider, so I went with the next best thing. Okay, let's go back to my main dynasty. Again, I don't know what I'm going to do here. I kind of want your thoughts on a lot of this. I love the idea, and it's stuck on my mind all day. I think it's more realistic. I think you'll enjoy it more, especially if I go like the system route. So, again, I don't know if I should stick with this for the rest of the season or just quit it now because I got too many things on my mind with this new idea to me to be completely focused on Maine. The reason why I think I don't want to stop with Maine is I've already recruited a bunch of 4-star kids. I've already had a handful in the offseason that committed. I'm going after a few 4-stars now, and it's already, quote-unquote, tainted compared to what this new Dynasty idea is. So I'd rather start fresh, if that makes any sense. And again, I don't know which team I'd go with, but if I had my druthers, I would just start fresh with the new Dynasty and roll with it. All right, comments and questions, please put them below. I'd like to know your thoughts on a lot of this. I think it's a really cool idea, but we'll see how it goes. Again, all my social media sites, please check those out. The website, the email address, subscribe to all that stuff if you can. And I'll talk to you later.